Have you ever met someone and felt an instant, unexplainable connection, as if the universe perfectly aligned to bring you together? Or maybe you found yourself falling for a person you initially did not even notice, and you cannot quite figure out why they suddenly consume your every thought. We are conditioned to believe that love is this magical, uncontrollable force. A sudden lightning strike of fate. But what if that lightning strike is actually highly predictable? What if the intense emotional bonds you have experienced were not written in the stars, but hardwired into the hidden architecture of the human brain? The truth is, people rarely fall in love for the reasons they believe. Today, we are going to expose the hidden psychological mechanisms that create deep, effortless attachment. You will discover that the feelings you thought were sheer destiny are actually the result of quiet, invisible triggers working beneath the surface of your conscious mind. By the end of this journey, you will possess a profound understanding of how attraction is really built. I promise you, the final realization we uncover will completely change how you view your past heartbreaks, your current relationship, and every person you meet from this day forward. If you are someone who craves a deeper understanding of human behavior, and you want to protect your heart while building healthier, more authentic connections, take a quick second to like this video and subscribe. Your support allows us to keep decoding the mind and empowering you with truths most people spend a lifetime ignoring. Most of us navigate life believing that falling in love is a game of roulette. You spin the wheel, you meet someone by chance, and chemistry just magically happens. We blame our heartbreaks on bad luck and our deepest loves on soulmate destiny. But science paints a fascinatingly different picture. When you pull back the curtain, you realize that your brain is constantly processing subtle cues, body language, shared challenges, microexpressions, and timing, often tricking you into feeling attached before you even know their middle name. We confuse psychological bias for genuine compatibility. Understanding these invisible forces is not about learning how to manipulate someone's feelings. It is about waking up. It is about realizing why certain people leave a permanent mark on your soul while others fade away. Let us step into the quiet machinery of the human mind. Imagine you take a new route to work. The first few days, you barely notice the barista at the corner coffee shop. But after 3 weeks of brief, identical interactions, you suddenly catch yourself thinking about them. You find their smile incredibly charming, and you start looking forward to that 30-second exchange. This is not destiny tapping you on the shoulder. It is a psychological phenomenon known as the mere exposure effect. Our brains are biologically wired to prefer things that are familiar. Familiarity signals safety to our subconscious. The more often we are exposed to someone in a non-threatening environment, the more attractive and trustworthy they become to us. It is the reason why so many romances blossom in the workplace or among friend groups. Your brain is silently taking notes, turning repetitive exposure into emotional warmth. But here is what makes this even more surprising. Familiarity alone is not enough to make someone fall deeply in love. It just opens the door. For true emotional attachment to ignite, the brain requires something much more raw. Think about a time someone you admired made a silly mistake, like spilling their drink or tripping over their own words. Did you judge them, or did you suddenly find them wildly endearing? We are often taught to present our absolute best selves to the world, to hide our flaws and project perfection. Yet, perfection is intimidating. It creates a wall. When a highly capable person reveals a vulnerability or makes a minor blunder, it triggers the pratfall effect. Their mistake makes them human. It makes them accessible. We fall in love with the cracks in the armor, not the armor itself. When someone shares a hidden fear or an embarrassing story, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It interprets this vulnerability as a profound signal of trust. You feel special because you were chosen to see the unpolished truth. Most people never realize what happens next, though. Vulnerability builds trust, but passion requires a completely different trigger. Have you ever noticed how many successful first dates happen at amusement parks, horror movies, or adventurous outdoor settings? You might think it is just about having fun, but there is a covert psychological operation happening in the background. It is called the misattribution of arousal. When you experience a thrilling or slightly terrifying situation, your heart races, your palms sweat, and your adrenaline spikes. If you are standing next to someone while this happens, your brain gets confused. It struggles to distinguish between the fear of the roller coaster and the thrill of the person beside you. Your subconscious literally rewrites the narrative, convincing you that this racing heartbeat is a sign of intense romantic chemistry. This is where everything changes. You are not just sharing an experience, you are hijacking the brain's natural response to danger and translating it into desire. The next sign is even more dangerous, precisely because it feels so incredibly validating. We all have an ego, a quiet need to be desired and appreciated. When we realize that someone likes us, a fascinating cognitive shift occurs. We suddenly start finding them more attractive. This is the principle of reciprocal liking. It sounds almost too simple, but it is one of the most powerful catalysts for romance. When a person makes you feel valued, emotionally safe, and genuinely interesting, they become a mirror reflecting back your best self. You do not just fall in love with them, you fall in love with the version of yourself you are when you are around them. Their approval satisfies a deep psychological hunger. But this creates a very fragile illusion. Sometimes, we become so intoxicated by the feeling of being wanted that we completely overlook whether the person actually aligns with our core values. Reciprocity feels good, but human beings are also wired to value things they have to work for. Have you ever been asked for a small, seemingly insignificant favor by someone you barely knew? Maybe they asked to borrow a book, or wanted your specific advice on a project. After you helped them, you probably felt a strange, sudden warmth toward them. You might assume we do favors for people because we like them. But psychology flips this entirely upside down. The Benjamin Franklin effect dictates that we actually grow to like people because we do favors for them. When you invest your time, energy, or resources into someone, your brain needs to justify that effort. It tells itself, I am helping this person, therefore, they must be important to me. The brain hates cognitive dissonance. It cannot stand a mismatch between your actions and your feelings. So, it simply adjusts your feelings to match your actions. Every time you compromise, every time you go out of your way for someone, you are silently cementing your own emotional attachment to them. This psychological trick is everywhere, hiding in plain sight. It is the reason why investing in a relationship, even a toxic one, makes it so brutally hard to walk away. You are not just mourning the person, you are struggling to detach from the massive psychological investment you have already poured into them. Your mind fiercely protects its investments. And yet, the plot thickens when we look at how communication styles quietly manipulate our perception of intimacy. Imagine you are having a conversation with someone, and without even realizing it, they lean in exactly when you lean in. They pick up their glass right after you take a sip of yours. They start using the exact same unique phrases you use. This phenomenon is known as the chameleon effect, or subconscious mirroring. When two people are building rapport, their nervous systems begin to synchronize. They unconsciously mimic each other's posture, gestures, and vocal tones. When someone mirrors you, your brain registers extreme similarity. It whispers, this person is just like me, they understand me on a cellular level. The comfort this generates is staggering. It accelerates trust at a blinding speed, making you feel as though you have known them for decades after just a few hours. Think about the slot machines in a casino. The reason they are so terribly addictive is not because you win every time. It is because you win just often enough to keep pulling the lever. You never know when the reward is coming. In psychology, this is called intermittent reinforcement. When someone floods you with attention, affection, and passion, only to suddenly pull away and become cold or distant, they plunge your brain into a state of chemical panic. Your dopamine levels crash. You start overanalyzing every text, every silence, desperately trying to figure out what you did wrong. Then, just as you are about to give up, they return with a breadcrumb of warmth. Your brain releases a massive, euphoric surge of dopamine. You confuse this intense chemical roller coaster for profound, consuming passion. You believe this chaotic high and low cycle is what true love feels like. But it is not love. It is a trauma bond. It is an addiction disguised as romance. The unpredictability keeps your nervous system hijacked, making safe, consistent, and healthy partners seem boring by comparison. Most people spend years trapped in this cycle, genuinely believing they have found their soulmate, when in reality, they have simply become hooked on the psychological equivalent of a slot machine. When you take a step back and look at these hidden mechanisms, the silent comfort of familiarity, the oxytocin rush of vulnerability, the adrenaline of shared fear, the ego boost of reciprocal liking, the investment of favors, the hypnotic rhythm of mirroring, and the dangerous dopamine loops of unpredictability, you begin to see love through an entirely new lens. People rarely fall in love for the reasons they believe. The strongest emotional connections are constructed, piece by piece, through these unconscious psychological patterns. But this realization is not meant to strip the romance from your life. It is meant to give you power. When you understand the psychology behind love, you stop being a passenger in your own emotional life. You learn to distinguish between the anxiety of intermittent reinforcement and the quiet, steady peace of genuine compatibility. You stop confusing an adrenaline spike for a soulmate. Most importantly, you realize that lasting love is never just an accident of fate. It is a conscious choice, built on consistent emotional safety, mutual effort, and profound trust. The magic is not in the mystery of not knowing why you fell in love. The true magic is in knowing exactly why, and choosing that person anyway. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. If this video opened your eyes, please subscribe to the channel and share this with a friend who might be confusing psychological tricks for true love. Leave a comment letting us know your biggest takeaway. And do not stop here. Your mind is full of hidden blind spots that dictate your daily choices. Click the video on your screen right now to discover the dark psychology behind why we secretly sabotage our own happiness. You will not believe what your subconscious is hiding from you. See you there.